I saw my mom cheat on my dad in their own bed. I never thought I'd ever write something like this online, but this feels like the only place I can get it out and make sense of it all. I'm 18, a college freshman in Ohio. Our dorm is brick. The hallways smell like laundry detergent and vending machine coffee, and my window faces the parking lot where someone always blasts music from their car, even in winter. I have a dad, Thomas, everyone calls him Tom, a mechanic with hands that always smell faintly of oil, and a mom, Emily, a high school literature teacher. We live in a white porch house on Willow Lane, with an apple tree my dad planted when I started first grade. I came home for the weekend unannounced. The plan was simple: grab some warm clothes, eat mom's apple pie, and be back by Sunday. The drive took 40 minutes along the same cornfield road, stopping at Speedy Mart for my usual coffee that tastes like warm water, but it's habit. It was cloudy, light rain hitting the windshield. Classic 80s station on the radio. I sang along half asleep. I parked at the curb and noticed only one light on, the lamp by the couch, and the upstairs curtains were half closed, like someone pulled them in a hurry. My dad's truck wasn't there. He often took extra night shifts at the shop. No pie then, I thought. Mom probably went to bed early. Still, I took out my key, quietly opened the door, and stepped inside. The first thing that hit me was the smell. Our house always smells like a bakery: cinnamon, vanilla, coffee. That night it smelled different. Heavy, warm, a little sweet, but wrong. The TV was off, a washed pie dish in the sink, a mug of cold tea on the table, her cardigan draped over a chair. I called, "Mom?" No answer, only a faint creak upstairs and then a sound. Rhythmic, soft. I didn't recognize it at first. Then my stomach turned to stone. I climbed the stairs on tiptoe, like a stranger in my own house. The bedroom door was half closed. A thin strip of light spilled out. I reached for the handle. My fingers trembled. Sweaty metal, warm under my palm. I didn't want to open it. Honestly, I didn't. But some sick gravity pulled me forward. I pushed the door open. What I saw came all at once and in pieces. Mom, hair messy, sheet tangled at her feet. Another man beside her, his back, her breath, the sound of skin. I won't describe more. I saw enough to understand. She saw me first. Her eyes went wide, like someone losing footing on a staircase. She shoved him away, grabbed the sheet up to her chin, and screamed my name. Not like a mother, more like an alarm. The man jerked back. I saw on the nightstand my dad's watch, a copy of Catcher in the Rye, and my old baseball trophy, the one Mom said she kept to remember how fast kids grow. And then everything inside me felt hot and hollow. I closed the door, not slammed, just pressed it shut. My heart was beating in my throat. I went downstairs, sat on the bottom step, and stared at the welcome mat until the word blurred. Above me, the bathroom door clicked, whispers, hurried steps. Mom came down wearing a robe, tied so tight it cut into her waist, face pale, eyes wide. The man followed, a familiar face. Paul, the vice principal at her school. He didn't look at me, just brushed past and left. The door clicked shut behind him. "Alex," Mom said. Her voice cracked. "It's not what you think." I let out a short laugh. I'm 18, but sarcasm works better than armor. "Really? What do I think it is?" She closed her eyes, took a shaky breath. I made a mistake. I looked up the stairs at the family photos. Me on my first bike, Mom holding the seat, Dad laughing. My chest felt like it was caving in. "Does Dad know?" "No," she said quickly. "And he can't. Please." Something snapped inside me. Not loud, like glass cracking quietly in cold air. He can't? I was supposed to be the vault for her secret? I didn't say it. I just walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water. My hand shook, half spilling into the sink. She stood in the doorway, holding the frame like the house was swaying. "How long?" I asked. She lowered her eyes. "A few months." Few months. I replayed the calendar. Thanksgiving, Christmas, our family movie night watching Home. Alone, Mom laughing at the paint can scene. She must have been texting him then. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Why did you start?" She leaned back, looked older suddenly. I don't know, Alex. I know how it sounds. I felt empty. Your father's a good man, but between us, silence. We talk about bills, weather, trash days. I felt invisible. Paul listened. I thought I was in control. I wasn't. I was wrong. I sat at the table, cold surface under my hands. Images of Dad fixing my bike, shoveling the walkway after work, cheering at my baseball game, helping the neighbor's cat, all played in my head, and she said silence. You want me to stay quiet? I said. To sleep under this roof, look Dad in the eye, and say nothing. She rubbed her eyes. I want to fix it. I'll end it. I'll do anything. It'll destroy him, Alex. He doesn't deserve it. Please, let me tell him, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm lost. Inside me a war started. One side loyalty to Dad, rage, betrayal. The other, Mom, my childhood, my first day of school, her hands fixing my tie, and fear. If I told him, the family would explode. If I didn't, I'd rot from the inside. I remembered a college ethics lecture about silent witnesses. Back then it was theory. Now it was real. I'm not promising anything, I said. I need to think. That night I slept, or tried to, in my old room. Now a guest room. Clean sheets, folded blankets, my books arranged by color. I lay there, listening to pipes knocking, cars passing, imagining Dad's face when he'd know. My chest burned. I thought of all the signs I'd missed. Late returns, staff meetings, the new phone she called work. And I believed, because belief is easier by default. I dozed off near dawn. The smell of coffee woke me. Dad was home, his footsteps steady as drums. He was in a good mood, keys clinking, kissing Mom's cheek. She flinched, my stomach twisted. I stepped outside for air. I couldn't watch it. I spent the day walking circles around the block. My roommate Tyler texted, "You good? We're hitting the game," I wrote back. Family stuff. I almost called Aunt Susan, Mom's sister. I hovered over the call button, then pressed it. She answered on the second ring. Her voice always sounded like a hug. "Alex? Sweetheart, what's wrong?" I didn't lie. I told her everything. No adjectives, no drama. Pause on the line. Then softly, "That's bad. But it's between your parents. I don't excuse her, but you're 18. You're not the judge." "Then who is?" I asked. "He walks around not knowing. He doesn't deserve that." "I know," she sighed. "Listen, talk to your mom again. Give her a deadline, a week. That's fair. If she doesn't tell him, you do. But give her the chance, okay?" The word deadline stuck in me. I went home. Mom was at the sink, washing a clean plate. Dad had gone to work. I sat at the table. "A week," I said. "You have 1 week to tell him. No excuses, no blaming him. If you don't, I will." She covered her face, shoulders shaking. I wanted to hug her, but couldn't. I packed my stuff and went back to campus that night. The week stretched like gum. I went to classes, pretended to take notes, stared at the same line while my mind screamed. Tyler dragged me to the gym. I threw the ball mechanically, then stood under the shower until I felt scrubbed blank. Mom texted every day, "I'll tell him tonight. He's tired, I couldn't. Tomorrow. Please understand." I saved them all but didn't reply. On day 4, I ended things with Paul. Day 5, "I'm not ready." Day 6, nothing. Day 7, I sat in the library, courtyard full of kids throwing frisbee, and texted, "Today's the last day." The 3 dots blinked so long I fetched coffee. They disappeared. I took the bus home, sunny afternoon, leaves crunching under sneakers. Dad was in the garage working on an engine. He smiled when he saw me, like nothing was wrong. Handed me a wrench. "Help me out." We worked in silence. He asked, "Everything okay at college?" "Yeah," I said. "Philosophy prof's annoying, but fine." He chuckled. "They all are." I wanted to speak right then, but my mouth went dry. I put down the wrench. "Dad, I need to talk to you. It's serious." He glanced. Up, creases deepening. "Money? Trouble?" "No. But it's about Mom." He removed his gloves, wiped his hands, closed the garage door. "Let's go inside." Mom was in the kitchen, as if she knew. Face gray, eyes tired. She looked from me to him. I nodded. Tell him. She closed her eyes and spoke. Everything. Paul, loneliness, thinking she could handle it. Dad listened the way he always listens, to the end. No interruption. His hands rested on the table, fingers clenched like around an invisible bolt. When she finished, he stood slowly, poured a glass of water, took a sip. "Thank you for telling me," he said quietly. Then he went to the bedroom, came back with a small bag. "I'll stay at Mike's tonight," he said softly. "We'll talk tomorrow, Emily. I don't know what happens next, but tonight I can't stay." The door closed gently. Mom sat holding her head. I sat across from her. Words burned my throat, but I said none. That evening I returned to campus. Tyler met me by the elevator. "Well?" "It's starting," I said. The weeks after blurred. Parents in therapy. Dad living with Uncle Mike. I visited Saturdays, sometimes waiting outside in the car while they took turns talking to me so they wouldn't see each other. Mom looked sleepless. Dad spoke little, voice wooden. One weekend I found them both at the table. Stacks of papers, therapy schedules, house rules. No alcohol, answer honestly, set boundaries. Mom traced the list with her finger. "I'll do anything. I'm guilty. I want to try." Dad looked out the window. "I don't know, Emily, but I'll go to therapy. For us three." I nodded, boiling inside. Part of me wanted them to split clean. Part of me wanted our house back with apple pie smell and useless arguments about trash. I started seeing the campus counselor, Miss Handley. At first I sat silent. 10 minutes later, I spilled everything. She said I had the right to be angry and not the mediator. She taught me a line. "That's between you two." I used it when Mom tried to overshare therapy details or Dad asked, "What do you think?" College life kept moving. Exams, cheap donuts at the Roost 3 a.m. Computer labs where everyone looked half dead. Sometimes while writing an essay, I'd suddenly see that bedroom door and my heart would race. I'd breathe 3 times, just like Handley taught, and go back to work. 2 months later, Dad moved back home. Not like before, a trial run. Separate rooms, therapy twice a week. I visited that day. He was fixing a table leg, Mom baking pie. I stood there feeling like a guest in a familiar restaurant with new staff. Dad and I sat on the porch, sunset melting behind rooftops. Air smelled clean. He said, "I thought I knew my life." I didn't. He gave a humorless smile. "You know what's strange? I blame myself too. Not for her choice, that's hers, but for stopping seeing. I became comfortable. Loved you both. Worked. Fixed things. But I stopped talking." "That's not an excuse," I said. "No," he nodded. "It's not. An explanation. For me, and you," he turned to me. "You did right. Telling the truth. Taking no sides. I'm proud of you." I looked away so he wouldn't see my eyes sting. I just couldn't do nothing. Inside, we ate pie. Awkward. Silent. But it wasn't the same silence as before. It was the silence between, like a bridge. Then winter came. One night Mom called. I expected another update. But she said, "I called Paul. Told him he has to transfer or quit." I told the principal. "I'm taking a leave. Going to therapy. I'm not asking forgiveness. Just letting you know I'm working on it." I said, "Okay." And for the first time, okay, wasn't bitter. Spring came. We planted 2 new trees, a red maple and another apple tree. Dad dug. I held the saplings. Mom watered. We barely spoke. But when wind rattled the young branches, they rang like maybe something could sound right again. People ask, friends, Redditors, even myself, was it worth telling Dad? Did truth help if it hurt us all? Here's what I think. Truth is a scalpel. It cuts. But sometimes you have to cut to survive. Silence is rust. It's quiet, but eats you from inside. I'm no hero. I was just a witness who refused to stay one. I'm still angry. Sometimes I see Mom look at Dad and think, "You don't deserve that look." Sometimes I see Dad sitting alone on the porch and wish I could build him a new sky. But then there are small moments. They argue about sugar in the pie and it sounds alive, not empty. Dad asks if she's cold. She says a little, and he drapes his sweater over her shoulders. That's not a movie. That's work. Their work. Mine is to live on, and not hold other people's secrets like grenades without pins. If you're reading this and ever find yourself at that door on the stairs, I won't give advice. I'll just tell you what I did. I didn't describe to Dad what I saw. Details don't heal. I set a deadline and gave her the chance. I went to therapy. I stopped being the container for her guilt, and I accepted that parts of my childhood were fake. That doesn't mean my whole life is. I saw my mom cheat on my dad in their own bed, and in that moment, trust died. But something else was born. Unpleasant, hard, necessary. The ability to face truth without looking away. To say, it's not my job to fix you. To love someone and not excuse them. I'm writing this now at my dorm desk. Outside, it's April. Someone blasting music again, curtain fluttering from the neighbor's open window. My phone's quiet. Mom at therapy, Dad in the garage fixing someone's pickup, listening to baseball. On our fridge at home, there's a paper titled Family Rules. Honesty, respect, boundaries. Silly? Maybe. But our house stands on those papers now, on words, on not pretending nothing happened. Sometimes I wonder what our life would look like if I'd stayed silent. Honestly, simpler. But that house would rot from inside, and one day the branch would fall on someone's head. I chose a different risk, to walk into the storm until the air clears, and somehow, for the first time in months, it feels like I can breathe again. I don't know if my parents will still be together next year. Maybe. Yes. Maybe not. That's their road. Mine is studying, playing basketball, laughing with Tyler, calling Aunt Susan on Sundays, coming home not as a judge but as a son. And if anyone asks if I did the right thing, I'll say this. I chose truth, and if it cuts, it means we're alive.